Well, Bradley Beal did a recent and rare post-game presser because he's not playing. He's out for the remainder of the season due to a wrist injury. And, he talked to the media. Brad's got a big decision. He's not free this offseason, but he's eligible for another big-time extension with the Washington Wizards. They can give him a lot of bread. We're talking about over $200 million here. And I want to put the number out there because it's valuable to this conversation. So Bradley Beal is eligible for a 5-year, $246 extension. And he was asked straight up and down by a member of the DC media, is it fair to say that you're leaning towards re-signing with the Washington Wizards? And Bradley Beal's response was, that's fair. That's all he said. He also admitted that, the time away from the Wizards will allow him to kind of look at the roster, see some of the young players develop as he makes this big decision, which, if Washington didn't move Bradley Beal at the deadline this offseason, my guess is more times than not they're not going to move him, because what team would trade for him next offseason knowing that he's a free man after that, right? Like, first off, Bradley Beal ain't leaving no money on the table, and I can't fault a man for doing that. Let me just be clear about that. I cannot fault a man for saying, we all get one life. My career affords me the opportunities of making money for the next 30, 40 years, right? Like, media is picking up. Like, come on, man. Look at the different ways you can monetize. When I got in this game 5, 6 years ago, you only had YouTube, and it was strict on YouTube. You couldn't do certain things. Nowadays, you can monetize on YouTube, monetize on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. There are so many different ways to monetize accounts, and it's not slowing down. I got multiple YouTubes that I monetize. I got multiple Facebooks monetized. I got, there's so many different ways to make money in today's era that we're in right now, and where the creators are winning. I got 30, 40 years to do this. So I don't have to pedal so quickly in the race that I'm in, presumably, right? I go hard because I want to go hard, and I want some of these luxuries in my 20s and 30s versus my 40s and 50s. But I don't have to necessarily feel like the end of my career is when I'm 30, 32. As long as this face don't fail me and this hairline still hairlining, I should have a little minute at making money in my field, right? Bradley Beal is an NBA player. You walk into this bad boy 19, 20, and for a lot of guys, you got a 2 to 3 year window to make money. For Bradley Beal, because he's a phenomenal scorer, his window, and he plays below the rim, his window will be 10, 15, maybe even 20 years, especially if in the latter part of his career he becomes like a Ray Allen type of shooter. He's got that type of form. He's got a beautiful looking shot. I'm not mad at Bradley Beal for saying, you know what? Right now, I know I could go somewhere else and be a second or third option. But kind of like Damian Lillard, Bradley Beal is saying, no, I'm not leaving no chips on the table. I want money. Now, what Bradley Beal has to be comfortable with is knowing that in return, you'll never be in conversations for best player in the world. Your teams are never going to win anything significant. And what's going to start to happen, if you look at the Eastern Conference, guys like LaMelo Ball are not leaving the All-Star game. He's exciting. He's popular. Like, LaMelo's going to be in the All-Star game. Miles Bridges, I believe, speaking of LaMelo, his teammate in Charlotte, is going to be in the All-Star game. Man, I don't know where the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to finish this year, but all signs are pointing to a guy like Darius Garland being in the All-Star game for years to come. A lot of guys are hurt as well this year. Kyrie Irving, if he's able to get back and play, he's an All-Star year in, year out. James Harden is going to be in the Eastern Conference for years to come, seemingly. He's an All-Star every year. You're going to cost yourself, achievements that matter. Maybe they don't as much. But in return, Bradley Beal can make a lot of money. He's going to be able to get maybe 1 or 2 more of these deals that he's got right now with just how talented he is and how young he came into the league. Just don't cry wolf when people say, hey, you're not a winner. You haven't won anything. I've watched on YouTube Bradley Beal speak to the kids, and he's been pretty honest with those kids and said, yo, you ain't taking my spot. I thought Bradley Beal was different. He's a Florida Gator. I went to Tennessee. I thought Bradley Beal was a guy that wanted to compete at the ultimate of levels, because let's call a spade a spade. He seems like a number 2 option on a really good team. If he's a number 3 option, you're probably competing for conference finals and championships. But he feels like a 2 option, not a 1 for me. Small guard, doesn't play a lot of defense, can score the rock, but, smaller guard. I thought a couple years ago he'd be in Milwaukee. I was wrong. Giannis won it anyway. You know, you look around the league, apparently Joel Embiid won it, and, you know, Bradley Beal before Harden came. There are a lot of situations where a guy of Beal's caliber makes sense because he's just so gifted and so talented off, you know, on that perimeter. And if you can shoot and put the ball on the ground today, you're going to get a bag and teams will want you. You could be a second option. But Beal don't want that. He wants the bag. That's what the Supermax was made for. That's what it was made for, this situation. It was literally made to keep guys in their home situations. The difference between Bradley Beal and Giannis is a one. He's a big. He plays, you know, above the rim, at the rim, no. He can dominate a game. He can be your one on a team that wins a championship. I don't think Bradley Beal can do that. Him staying locked in with Washington is different from Giannis staying locked in Milwaukee. Giannis had already took that pressure off his back. For Bradley Beal, his future will likely mean a lot of losing seasons. Play-in tournament is probably where he'll be at for the next 4 or 5 years. It is what it is, though. I hope he's happy with his decision. He claims he'll likely resign, and he'll make a lot of money doing it, but he will never compete for championships in Washington. Not with the way that roster and that organization is currently constructed.